go.
Dan Grider, Probable Cause. It's March 15, 2023. Griffin, Georgia. Toxic Water Part 2. I never intended to produce a sequel to this, but I guess I bloody well am now. I'm going to tell you what happened here. This is going to be an educational video. There's a lot of government corruption, a lot of bad stuff going on. Griffin, Georgia. Toxic water. This is both a literal and a figurative thing. Their water base in Griffin truly is toxic. The drinking water. That's how come people are moving out of Griffin. They can't get businesses and families to stay there. It's hurting their tax base. The water problem is a definite problem for City of Griffin. If you don't know that and you live there, pay attention, because I'm going to show you the video footage and explain to you exactly what happened. The rest of it, toxic waters. This has to do with the government, the corruption, the legal system, the airport manager, and the airport authority. It's completely toxic, and I'll show you why. I hope this gets your blood boiling as much as it does mine, but I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I was minding my own business and working on the DC-3. You know, this spring, starting in January here, I started redecorating the DC-3 to convert it over to my airborne animal rescue platform for the purpose of volunteer dog flights to get dogs. Turns out the airport and the city are anti-dog. They're anti-dog operations, they're anti-rescue, and they're anti all of this. Not only do they not like Dan, they don't like my DC-3, and they for sure don't like my dog rescue concept. So they started circling me. We spent a lot of effort and a lot of time working on the DC-3, getting the exterior surface prepared so that we could properly show this airplane for its future use in dog flights. If you have a chance to support me on this, here's my website for it, Airborne Animal Rescue, and I'm going to show you the picture of the DC-3 as it came out. Here it is right here. It came out fabulous. The DC-3 is up and flying and ready to fly. We got a couple dog flights coming up in the near future. These are dog flights to relocate dogs out of kill centers into voluntary centers. City of Griffin hates this. They're anti-dog. I think this is one of the main reasons that they have targeted me even extra heavy. Even after everything that they've done to me over the years, I've been an aeronautical user. They came out to the airport. They brought me these 2 code enforcement violations here with no notice. And I'm going to read these to you here, and I'm put them on the screen so you can see it. Here's what these things actually say. This says failure to relocate airplane to authorized location after warning from airport authority. The other one says airplane parked in unsafe location, failed to move after warning from airport authority. Well, who's the airport authority? I'm going to get into that in a little bit as well here. But because of that, I want you to know that the airport manager, his name is Robert Mole, he started circling the wagons and started coming around, driving his vehicle, never stopping to talk or visit or share a cup of coffee, just driving around and stalking my operation down there. And here's a video of him in his Jeep. I took a lot of video. I probably took 30 videos of him driving by and looking and all that kind of stuff. Then what happened one day was that the airport manager, Robert Mole, drove past and he noticed for the first time a puddle underneath the DC-3. So what does he do? He called code enforcement and complained that there was an oil slick underneath the DC-3, a pool of oil. So code enforcement showed up. 2 officers came out to look, and we informed them that this is water. Not only is this water that's coming out from a broken water main underneath the spot. The spot of the pavement's been repaired like 5 times. They've dug it up trying to fix this. Water bubbles up from the ground. This is city water main water that comes up. This isn't oil, this is water. And code enforcement took a look at it and said, obviously, it's very clean water, and it's sitting here and it's bubbling up, and they went on their merry way. But that's the airport manager. All right, Chris, you've been out here working on the DC-3 with me. Tell me how many times the airport manager has been down here circling like a vulture over this thing.
There's no way to count. Twice a week.
And
3 times a week.
Tell me about this water spot that you see right here underneath the airplane. What happened that one day you and I was down here where code enforcement came out?
Oh yeah, he circled through here and just kept on going, didn't stop, didn't say anything to anybody, and next thing we knew, 2 code enforcements come out and say that this is an oil slick. And they got out and checked it and felt of it and could tell clearly that it's only water. And so they left, without any trouble.
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing is that not only is this only water, this water is because this patch here, right here on the ground, this patch has been repaired twice. And the hottest day of the summer, this still has water here because it's welling up from the ground. There's a water main break here, and there's also one right over here.
Oh yeah, these have been here since 2009.
This sinkhole right here is structurally not sound. That whole thing is going to fall in. There's water wells up out of there. But this thing, it's incredible that an airport manager could claim that this is oil because it happens to be underneath the DC-3.
Well, it is definitely not oil.
He was so dumb to think that this big, huge pool was a pool of oil underneath the nose of the airplane. The nose doesn't leak oil. The engines leak oil. There's no way to get a pool of oil underneath the nose. But that's what we're dealing with here on this thing. So now, it's retaliation. These guys are definitely retaliating and trying to discriminate and trying to harass me. I've got a court date tomorrow. Today is March 15. I've got a court date of March 16. They're trying to find me and evict me off the airport. They want the DC-3 gone, and I'm going to get into all that, but this has to do with grants and assurances. So I'm going to read you this document. If you're an airport user or a taxpayer, this has to use with using federal tax money for airports. There's a program called Grants and Assurances. It basically says that the FAA has money that they can give to support airports, which they do. But when a municipal airport or a county airport accepts money, they enter into a contract with the FAA called Grants and Assurances. The airport becomes what we call the sponsor. The sponsor has to agree to not discriminate, to use the airport, and the airport has to be used for aeronautical activity. In other words, you can't set up a diamond business, you can't set up a diesel car shop, you can't set up a Bitcoin shop on the airport using federally funded airport property and hangars. And that's what's going on our city. So I'm going to show you this in a little bit here. Most of our hangars down there now are unrelated to aviation, unrelated to aeronautical activity. It's a big deal, according to the FAA, if even one of these hangars is non-aeronautical use, and now we've got probably more than 20 hangars down there crammed full of completely non-aeronautical use. I'm showing you some of them here right now as we go, but while I'm showing you these videos here, I'm going to read from this. This is the airport bill here. I'll put this on the screen here. This is FAA docket number 0463, and it says, airport sponsor obligations. This, when they accept money, this is their obligations. On July 2014, and the FAA issued a proposed statement of policy on use of airport hangars to clarify compliance requirements for airport sponsors, airport managers, airport tenants, state aviation officials, and FAA compliance staff. This is what they did here. And on the next page, it says it's the long-standing policy of the FAA that airport property be available for aeronautical use and not be available for non-aeronautical use unless that non-aeronautical use is approved by the FAA. Use of a designated aeronautical facility for a non-aeronautical purpose, even on a temporary basis, requires FAA approval. So I got together with Keturah Prestel. She's the FAA person, and I'm going to let you hear a portion of this phone conversation. She was appalled. She had no idea. She was appalled to find out what was going on, and she promised me that she would get to the bottom of this. So far, I've got no action from Keturah Prestel, but here's her voice conversation. Here's the conversation that I had with her.
Okay. You know, and hopefully talk to the airport manager and kind of talk them down from that. I'd rather handle it informally and, you know, just make it go away. And if they don't agree to that, then we have to, you know, take it to a more formal process of threatening them with nasty letters.
Tell me what your name is.
Keturah Prestel. Let me spell it for you.
Okay, go ahead.
K-E-T as in Tom, U-R-A-H. That's Keturah. Then the last name is Prestel, P as in Paul, R, I, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, E-L-L. And if you did want to send me an email, all you have to do is put those together. So keturah.prestel@saa.gov. So you're basically dealing with social retaliation for that, which has nothing to do with the fact that you're qualified as an aeronautical user.
Yes.
So congratulations, first of all, on your channel, because I know that that's not the easiest thing to do, but you must have some really good content. But the thing you do have to understand is, from my perspective, I just care about the airport trying to prove to me whether or not you're qualified as an aeronautical user. It sounds like you're darn sure qualified, so it's going to be on them to give me a valid reason. Whenever they throw at the wall, I'll take a look at it and give it a fair look. But if it sounds like BS, which is what you're saying, then I'll tell them that in no uncertain terms. You know what I mean? And I'll tell them, like, you need to stop. You need to change this. When I call that airport manager, he's going to be pissed off. I already know that. But he might be even more pissed off if something else is published. So I'm not telling you not to do anything. I'm just saying that give me a little time, maybe a week, okay, so that I have time to discuss this issue with my manager and then call the airport manager.
Yep,
okay?
That's perfect. I will stand down and let you work your magic. And when you need to come down here and take a look and go see what's going on down here,
because I can drive down there in like 45 minutes from my house, so it's not a big deal. If it gets there, trust me, I can meet you down there. But for now, I think I've seen hundreds of cases like this, so most times I'm pretty good at what I do. So I can usually threaten the manager good enough in a very nice way, okay, that they're going to eventually listen to me. So I'm guessing, at least 80% of cases go that way. Some of them don't. So I'm just saying, give me a chance, to try to make it work.
I've had this airplane for 22 years. This has been in the same spot, the same thing. This incident arose from early January, where I was tugging my DC-3 to get it out to the runway to go fly it. And there's a hangar that has a whole bunch of employees. They probably got 100 employees, and they all park their cars in the taxiway. So every time I came in and out, we had to stop and find people to find keys to move their trucks and all that kind of stuff.
That is absolutely just unsafe on so many levels. I can't even believe that.
Right. So, we are parking as much as we can close to the building, which is what he asked me to do.
Right. Regina, see how far that truck is away from your building? There's 6 feet between the truck.
But they angled so they could not stick out as far.
If he would angle and just snug up to the building another few feet, it wouldn't be a problem. Why would you park 6 feet back? Look at how far back that truck is. He's sticking out.
I mean, yeah, he probably could have come up a little bit closer, but they were trying to, this is the first day we've angled in. We're trying to accommodate him.
Right.
All I'm asking to is angle and snug up to the building, and it won't be a problem. Is this Atlanta Aerospace?
Yes. Nobody's out real far, and really.
Police said it's a safety issue parking vehicles back here with airplanes taxiing through. What do you think about that?
Haven't had a discussion with the police yet.
Well, that's what they said. They would see this as they said, how come it says no parking over there, but these guys can park here?
What are the regulations on him having to have a wing walker as he comes through,
I don't know him right offhand. I'll have to get back over to the office and look up the AC.
Ron designed this specifically for the DC-3. He's the one that actually designed this whole thing specifically for it. If you look at the master plan, these buildings are set this distance apart to accommodate a DC-3. Isn't that ironic?
For Ron's DC-3, not your DC-3.
What difference does it make?
Because he paid for it, not you.
Why don't you just move your truck so I can get in and out? That's all it is. Can you just move your truck? Is this Atlanta Aerospace? Is this Atlanta Aerospace, the composite repair facility for Part 121 carriers? Is that who you are? Atlanta Aerospace. Is this Regina's company? Is this who this is? Yes. And so what I did was I went to the manager of that facility and I asked politely, I said, I'm really just trying to get my airplane in and out safely. Is there any way we can alter your parking or park your trucks a little bit further down? I won't have to bother you. I don't need to come in here. If I can get in and out, I've been here for 22 years. I know the ropes. I can get in and out just fine. But if you park your trucks on the taxiway where I can't move, then I got to stop and I got to come in and find you people, and it's not good. It escalated into a huge event with the police and the airport manager, and I videotaped the whole thing. I showed exactly, and I even have the police guy on camera saying it's clearly unsafe for these guys to park their vehicles right here, because this is for airplanes right here, and now you've got pedestrians parking their vehicles where operating aircraft with propellers are taxiing by. And he said that on camera. He goes, I don't see how these people can park here with airplanes taxiing past here. This isn't a parking lot.
No, it causes many accidents and investigations. I can't believe that an airport manager would do that. Okay, so you have video of that too. Please share, because that's an even bigger issue for me.
Yes.
Safety, of course, is our primary issue.
Yep.
So
I'm going to.
That I'll tackle like today if you can get it to me, because that is extremely dangerous for so many different reasons.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to produce a video that's completely private. I'm going to show the data. This is non-aeronautical use. This entire airport is non-aeronautical use.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to say, sir, thank you for reporting this issue, because those are our two biggest issues. You know, any kind of safety obstruction on our surfaces, and then any kind of non-aeronautical use of our aeronautical infrastructure. We hate that. So thank you so much for letting us know.
Yep.
Guarantee we're going to jump on it quickly as we get the information, okay?
It'll be a day or two before I get that video constructed, but when I do, it'll be private. It won't go anywhere.
Okay.
And but it'll be the exact same video that I will definitely make public. If it comes time to doing that, and they're still going to kick me off the airport, then Bessie, bar the door. Everybody's going to hear about it, and it's not going to be good.
Okay, so here's the thing. Since it might take you a couple days, I need to let you know that I am not going to be in the office all of next week. I'll be at the Women in Aviation Conference out in Long Beach.
I'm going to show some of these hangars. I'm going to produce a YouTube video. And here's my stance. This video will never see daylight if you leave me alone. If you don't leave me alone, I'm publishing this. And
okay, but let's not do that until I get a chance to resolve the issue first. Give me a week. Give me a week, because otherwise then it's gonna go a way that we don't want it to go. Trust me. So let's try the low level way first, and then if that doesn't work, I'll go with God by all means with what you want.
Now I'm getting to the toxic water part. Before I do, I'm going to talk to about the main thing, the two things in common here between these two code enforcement tickets, which I go to court for tomorrow. Part 3, I'm going to give you the conclusion on what happened in court. I can tell you already, it's a crooked deal. It's a toxic town. It's toxic everything. I'm going to get home baked in this court tomorrow. I'm not even sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to give you the full result. I'm a reporter. I got a YouTube channel. You deserve to know, and I'm going to tell you. Part 3 is going to tell you exactly what became of these two tickets. These two tickets were served, and it says specifically that I am failed to move after receiving a letter from airport authority. I want you to know that I have never received any correspondence from the airport manager or the airport authority in any way. No email, no text, no phone call, no visit, no letter, no nothing. The only thing I have to go on is these two yellow pieces of paper, and they have not contacted me, and I am very readily available. I'm out there every day. I'm very approachable. If they had any kind of complaint or anything they wanted to talk to, all they got to do is walk up to me and let's work something out. They haven't done it. I got zero correspondence from City of Griffin or the airport authority, but the airport authority, I went and took a look at the website here. The guy's name who's the chairman of the Griffin Airport Authority is a guy named Randall Peters. Dr. Randall Peters. Well, here's his credentials. Here's what he's good for. He's a PhD, a doctor of higher education, and he works at this John something society. Notice he's a doctor of higher education, and he can't even spell the word John. It's ironic. Mr. Peters is not a pilot. He's not a airplane person. He's got no credentials whatsoever. In the Army, he was in the Signal Corps, which is suspect to me. But in any case, he's the chairman of the airport authority, and supposedly he's in conjunction with this. I don't know whether he actually even knew that his name or the airport authority is being used in this, but I want to talk to you real quick about the airport authority. What is the airport authority? So I'm going to show you this document. This is the same document that I took downtown and showed to the people downtown. But here's what the airport authority is. This is legislation, and I'll show you to you here. This says that this is a House Bill 1261, and under Section 7 of this House Bill, this is the House Bill that authorized the formation of the Griffin Airport Authority. Under Section 7, it's powers, and Section 7 starts on line 132 and goes all the way through line 209. But if you look in the section of powers here, the Airport Authority is a fiduciary instrument for conducting transactions, land leases, bank accounts, things like that. It has nothing to do with the operation or safety or management of the airport. That's the job of the airport manager. The Airport Authority has no authority under powers, has nothing to do with operating the airport. It's simply designed to help the airport change. The original idea was to move the airport, so the Airport Authority was formed to conduct the financial transactions only. The Airport Authority has nothing to do with aircraft parking or whether an aircraft is parked safely or unsafely. That's not what they do, and that's not what they're authorized to do in this. This guy, Dr. Randall Peters, is the chairman. I'm thinking about suing Dr. Randall Peters because he's not an employee. He's not officially on the payroll. He's a civilian. He's got a high net worth, and he's put his job and his reputation on the line here. He has participated in something I think he does not want to be associated with this probably anymore because he's got a high net worth. I think it's time that Dr. Randall Peters, as a civilian, as an individual, becomes a defendant in a lawsuit. If you want to check my GoFundMe page, I'm developing a legal fund here. I think it's time to sue the Airport Authority. The only guy I can think of is the chairman. I don't know any of them, and I certainly don't know this guy. I tried to find this guy. This guy is completely dark. You can't find anything except his address, and I did find his address as being 1026 Waverly Drive in Griffin, Georgia, but I can't find him. I can't find a phone number or anything for this guy. Certainly, Dr. Randall Peters has never tried to contact me. So let's go look at this. I took this piece of information downtown to the city. Now the city is Jessica O'Connor. She's the city manager. I took this down there and listen to what she has to say. She is full aware that the city is not in compliance. I told her your airport is not in compliance, and she said we are aware of that. I'd like to record this because this is grants and assurances. Our airport is a federally funded airport. Is what this is. The airport's not in compliance with grants and assurances because of non-authorized hangar usage.
Okay.
And this bill is specifically for using federal money for airport usage. Your airport is not appropriating the usage of the airport properly. There's a lot of violations out there that Mr. Mole should be, as airport manager, should be aware of and should be on top of, and he's not.
He is, and the FAA and GDOT are also aware of them. Have you been to one of our airport authority meetings lately?
No.
They talk about them pretty consistently. I'm not the airport authority attorney. I would suggest that you talk with her.
Right. All I'm saying is you're the city manager. Robert works for you. Listen to it again. Your airport is not in compliance. We are aware of that. The airport's not in compliance with grants and assurances because
We're aware of that.
the airport's not in compliance with grants and assurances because
We're aware of that.
the airport's not in compliance with grants and assurances because
We're aware of that.
This is crazy. This whole thing is crazy. So I'll let you know in part 3, Griffin, Georgia, Toxic Waters, part 3. I'm going to show you what happens tomorrow in court because I'll make another video. The first video that I did, Griffin, Georgia, Toxic Waters, part 1, got 500,000 views and 3 million minutes watched. I had no idea I picked up 1,000 subscribers. I think the city of Griffin is simply providing me some excellent content. This is corruption. This is bad people, bad stuff, using airport funding and city funding for discriminating and harassing an ordinary citizen trying to conduct aeronautical activity. You ought to be very upset about this, especially considering city of Griffin just had a tornado go through. We still have people in Griffin, Georgia without power, without water, and without supplies, and they're spending resources on this. My DC-3 has been parked on the airport for 22 years. I've operated it safely from the same location. Here's a picture of the video of where I go in and out. This is very easy to tug the airplane in and out. And Miss Katura Purstel, let's listen to her conversation that I had with her. She said that this is wrong on so many levels. You got people parking their cars in an area designed for airplanes to be taxiing up and down. You can't park cars in this area, and she told me this is wrong on so many levels.
That is absolutely just unsafe on so many levels. I can't even believe that.
Miss Prestel promised me that she would get to the bottom of this and have something happen. So far, all that's really happened is I had a Zoom call with Georgia Department of Transportation. I'm probably going to publish that entire Zoom call in its entirety eventually. Here's a little snippet of the Georgia Department of Transportation. Remember, they're the enforcement arm of the FAA.
Are there any other concerns you need to pass along at this time?
Yeah, the overall sentiment from the airport is that the airport is moving. They've spent federal dollars. They've done everything for this big smoke and mirrors thing. They keep on saying, no, it's all good because the airport is moving. I would like to know specifically from you guys, if you look at this document on page 38910, it says this policy applies regardless of whether the hangar occupant leases the hangar from the airport sponsor or developer, or the hangar occupant constructed the hangar at the occupant's own expense while holding a ground lease. Approval of non-aeronautical use. A sponsor will be considered to have FAA approval for non-aeronautical use of a hangar in each of the following cases. And listen, my question is, has there ever been any request in writing from the sponsor for non-aeronautical use at this airport?
I'm not aware of that, but I don't have full information in front of me. So we'll validate that as a part of this process. We'll look into it to look at the history and see if there's any requests made.
Okay, I'll give you the answer because Katura already pulled the database and she already went and looked at the complete file, and she said there's nothing on writing ever at any time concerning a request from the sponsor for non-aeronautical use.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So you have that, and is there some loophole that's valid because of this concept that the airport might be moving? When is it possible to say, okay, we're moving the airport, so the rules no longer apply to us? And are they at that stage yet where they can say the rules don't apply to us because we're thinking about moving the airport?
Well, I'm aware that the airport's accepted recent federal funding, so they're obligated to adhere to their grant assurances. Those same assurances would transfer over to the new airport. So there should not be a lapse in assurances from the existing airport to the new airport, I think is what you're asking.
I'm asking if they get a pass on enforcing non-aeronautical use because the concept is in the air that they're going to move anyway. That's their stance, that we're moving anyway, so we don't have to play by the rules. If you ask them, that's what they're going to tell you. We don't really have to do that because the airport is moving, so those don't apply to us in the interim. And I'd like to know, is that true or false?
I'm not aware of a policy that provides a loophole.
Correct. GDOT is the people decide to figure out if there's a compliance problem or not. And Ms. Prestel supposedly stays out of it until the very end. However, I did have this Zoom call, and here's a snippet of that, but I got the whole thing, and it's extremely interesting as well. City of Griffin, your airport sponsor, specifically the airport manager, Robert Mole, is not doing his job. He's not doing his job. The city has toxic water. The airport is doing all this stuff on their own. They're not providing aeronautical usage for the hangars and facilities that are already on the ground there, and it's wrong. I don't want to be the person who rats out his buddy, but think about this. The people who are using these hangars for non-aeronautical use, they're not my buddies. I don't even know these people. They're not pilots. They're not aircraft owners. They're just moving in all over the place and setting up storage or businesses or repair shops, totally unrelated to airplanes, and it's sickening. This is our airport being converted over to a junkyard for operations, and the FAA is doing absolutely nothing about it. Now, let's talk about Robert Mole. Here's a video. Robert Mole is the airport director. He is technically the sponsor. His idea is to put a red demarcation line on the airport. And I want to show you this video. I made this video just a little while ago, but this is Robert Mole, the airport director. He doesn't know what an aeronautical information manual is. That's the manual that we pilots go by for standardization of everything. The AIM is in a book called the FAR AIM. FAR is Federal Aviation Regulations. AIM is Aeronautical Information Manual. I asked Robert, do you even know what an aeronautical information manual is? Let's listen to his response.
Do you know what an aeronautical information manual is?
Not right at the moment, no.
You see, Robert, when pilots use an airport, they have to be assured that things are standard.
Right. I got a copy of Chapter 18 of the City Code. I can bring that over to you. And it's a non-standard line, and we got permission to paint on the airfield. It's a non-standard line. It's a non-standard line. It's a non-standard line.
So Robert Mole doesn't have any idea. He goes to Home Depot and he buys some red paint and a roller and literally rolls a red line down the runway parallel taxiway here. This is his demarcation line. He's drawing a line in the stand here where he says vehicles can't go past this red demarcation line. Problem is, it's not standard. We pilots don't know what that is, what it means. Is it safe? Is it unsafe? It's red. What does this mean? Can't do that. This is not a line that's on the plan. It wasn't installed by a contractor. It's not FAA approved. It's not GDOT approved. It's nothing. It's Robert, the airport manager, driving to Home Depot and buying a bucket of red paint and rolling down there, putting this red line on the pavement because he can. The whole thing is completely ridiculous. Now let's take a look at the water thing. I'm not kidding about this water. The city of Griffin had a very, very bad toxic water contamination problem many years ago from a plant, some kind of a manufactured thing that leaked toxins into the public water table, and they are still dealing with that. Here's all the places all over the city that are still trying to sample and determine safe levels of drinking water coming from our water table down below. Look at these two places on the airport where when it rains, this toxic water bubbles up from the ground and overflows, and it smells. It's a toxic smell, and look at the stains that it makes on the ground here. This stuff goes everywhere, and it stinks. The real problem with Griffin, Georgia is right back here. A cleaning facility a few years ago dumped a whole bunch of toxic material into the city water system, and it has affected the city greatly. There are water here. I don't drink it, and if you look all up and down here, even on the airport here, there's about 50 places on the airport here where they put these inspections panels in here. They have to do water sampling all the time to make sure that they're within limits on water quality. Even these places right here, they don't have backflow preventers, so this toxic stuff that's down here, it oozes up, and you can see the stains. When this stuff comes up out of the ground, when it rains, it oozes up and it smells. It smells really bad. Look at the stains. These stains are all over the airport from the swell of groundwater, city water system, water table that's oozing up, and you can see this is all stained. This is just one of several places on the airport where the ground is physically stained by toxic water. City of Griffin is not doing anything about the broken pavement, the sunken pavement, the broken water mains, the toxic stuff coming up from the ground. If I were you and you lived in Griffin, drink bottled water, but don't drink the water in Griffin. And if you're thinking about relocating your business or family to Griffin, Georgia, this is what you're up against. These people are manufacturing problems when there is no problem, and I think the whole thing is completely ridiculous. I'm going to do part 4 of this. If you could help me, I'm going to do a GoFundMe. I'm going to do a GoFundMe for this thing. Here's the, I'll put the link for the GoFundMe in the description for this. I'm looking for some help on funding. I'm going to sue Dr. Randall Peters personally as a defendant and let them sort it out however they want to. But I think it's time that he be sued. I think it's time that he be put on notice, and all this complete garbage has got to stop. I hope you understand what it is I'm trying to do. I'm trying to operate my airplane like I have for the past 22 years. I've done it safely within the confines of the law. I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and I have not had a single accident or problem of any kind, and the whole thing is completely ridiculous. This whole thing is part 2. I'm going to give you part 3 and part 4. I fully anticipate that I'm going to get home baked on this court thing. This is their city court with their city guy and their city everything. When this thing happens, I'm going to show you a picture that I'm going to tell you exactly who the guy was and what he said. I have got zero correspondence from anybody, and they brought out 2 code enforcement violations wanting to violate me for not complying with an airport authority request, and I have none. I'm going to tell the judge, I got nothing. You got nothing. I've not received any communication from anybody. The airport manager will not even walk over to shake my hand and talk to me about what I could help him with. Doesn't happen. That's the problem we got in government today. It's all bureaucratic, and this entire toxic water situation is crazy. I'll let you know on part 3. This is probably going to be part 3, part 4, part 5. If a lawsuit comes out of this, it's going to make fantastic content because I'm going to step you through the whole process, and we'll see what Mr. Peters wants to do as a defendant and what he's at risk for and what he has participated in. His authority does not include anything with this, and if he's the chairman of the Griffin Airport Authority and he even thought about authorizing this, well, we're going to figure all that out, and it's not going to be good. So that's it for this one. I appreciate you hanging with me. This is going to be a fascinating story. My deepest appreciation to the City of Griffin for providing me this excellent content. Remember to support Airborne Animal Rescue. Here's the graphic for it right here. Here's a couple ways that you can add electronically. Here's a couple QR codes for PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, and Venmo, or off the website airborneanimalrescue.org. And here's in the description, I'm going to leave in the description a link to the GoFundMe. I've never done a GoFundMe, but I'd like to publicly put one up here for the legal fund. I think it's time that Mr. Peters, Dr. Randall Peters, the spelling expert, ought to be a defendant in this, and I think it's time to do that. I don't want to do it, but I think it's time for us to do that. I'm not going to sit around. I've sat around long enough on this thing, and I'm kind of tired of it. So, Dr. Randall Peters, I look forward to working with you. Let's see what happens here, and please support this. I'll be sure to do part 3 to this series to show you what happened after I go to court and what our judge says here about these 2 tickets. And I'm also going to tell you what happens with FAA, Katura Prestel, and Georgia DOT. They're clearly in violation. They've got EPA violations on this airport. They've got EPA problems. The city's got EPA problems. They got toxic water problems. But most importantly, they've got grants and assurances, big problems, and they know it. They know it. For my tiny little itty bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Grider, Probable Cause.
Do you know what an aeronautical information manual is?
Not right at the moment, no.